There are thousands of different items on Hypixel SkyBlock. Some of them are so rare that they may just cost more than you'll ever have. Others might be impossible to have. But today, by popular demand, we're going to be talking about items that are so rare that out of 7 million SkyBlock profiles and thousands of custom items, only one exists. That's right, this is going to be a part 2 to my one-of-a-kind item series. It's been 4 months and a lot's happened, so let me get you up to date. This is a big video with lots of really cool stories and special guests that you won't want to miss. Stick around because I'm going to show you some of the anomalies of SkyBlock, some that were never meant to exist. So recently, I've been given the great honor of joining the #1 glitched item museum on the server, the Anomaly Archive. As a curator for this museum, I now have a lot of new, for lack of a better word, stuff to play with. Some of these things are one-of-a-kind items. This museum has documented and displayed almost any glitch that you could think of. However, if you want to see it instead of thinking about it, you can check it out by visiting the co-op with one of these people put on screen. This museum hasn't just acquired its fame from displaying items, but also discovering them. This is one of the best groups for finding bugs, exploits, and illegal items, so today, let me give you a look inside. Let's start with the barrier block that was recently discovered. During the Dwarven Mines update, this drill anvil was added. Not a whole lot of people were able to see this new menu because you needed to have a drill, which cost absolutely stupid amounts of money when the item first came out. One of our friends and a good collector who has since retired, Zeroing, may have found a slight oversight with the menu to say the least. Okay, maybe it's not so slight. Fun fact about this one, all anvils on the server got disabled for 6 hours due to this. Our co-op built upon this to figure out what you could do to swipe the error barrier right out of this menu. Too bad it's not placeable, but there's lots of different strange variations that are fun to look at. They're also pretty much the most rare barrier now since we may have found a way to make the ones from last time.
Hey, the poor chef's not kidding. Didn't you hear? They found a whole warehouse full of them. They're worthless!
Timedeo.
Now that's worth $1 million!
However, it doesn't end here. Let's take a look at runes. Runes are normally pretty useless, only being cosmetics to add to weapons and armor. But what if I told you that a rune turned a bow from a normal bow to one of the most valuable bows in the game? This bow doesn't just have one rune applied to it, it has 2. One more than the game usually allows. Not only this, but both runes aren't supposed to go on bows. Hot is a rune that's only supposed to be applicable to boots. Check it out, it even works as if I'm wearing boots, but nah, this is all coming from my bow. So how is this possible? Well, we have no idea. My co-op members just bought it from some guy. But we do know that this bow comes from 2019 when SkyBlock was released to the public. So we have a couple of theories of how it could have been made. One theory is that back in the day, runic pedestals were pretty buggy and worked sort of like the drill anvil should before. What you're looking at is some early footage. We can only imagine what was possible with these early bugs. Who knows, this illegal item could still be lurking in the game, waiting to be rediscovered. But anyways, enough talking about runes. So let's talk about this NPC called George. Now, if you've ever visited George, you probably know he's a bit of a scammer. I mean, come on, 5 mil for a legendary ender dragon that would normally cost hundreds of millions of coins on an auction? What a steal. But what if I told you that we found a glitch that would finally let us steal back from George? And no, not as in getting overpaid in coins from deals, but you could steal his hardened clay block from him. The thing is, it's not just any hard clay block, it's the accept offer button. It was a glitch that let us take the accept offer out of his trade menus. Lots of people got the red ones, which show up when you didn't offer any valid item to George. But nobody except for my co-op thought to get the green variation for when an offer is valid. And now, the glitch is patched. So it looks like this accept offer will be the only one of its kind. If you aren't impressed yet, this next one actually blows my mind that it exists. For years, people have been trying to obtain Midas swords with weird amounts paid on them.
All you did choose the price. Right here, 1 billion.
People have even gotten 100k Midas swords, which means nobody bid on it except for them. These 100k Midas swords are one of the rarest types of Midas swords, as it's extremely rare to have nobody bid on a Midas sword except for you. This is already a rare sight, but pales in comparison to the item I'm about to show you. The 100k Midas staff. The Midas staff is pretty much the same thing as the Midas sword, but it's supposed to be even more expensive and only shows up maybe twice a year at most for 5 days each. The Midas Staff is only available when Scorpius is elected mayor, and a special mayor candidate only shows up once every 41 days. The fact that it's such a limited time item makes everyone want to bid on a Midas Staff as soon as possible, making it very hard to buy a Midas Staff for 100k or even anything close to 100k. The fact that only one person bid on this Midas Staff means that they must have found an empty lobby, probably because of a server bug. We ended up buying this on Auction House for hundreds of millions of coins, so you guys could come see it in its exhibit on our island. We assume this is one of a kind because of the dark auction statistics that were released by the admin Miniclune prior to its creation. If you think that Midas Staff is crazy, just wait, I have another Midas Staff that's somehow equally absurd. Before that though, I just wanted to say we're halfway through the list. You know what else we're halfway to? YouTube rank at 30,000 subscribers. I can't thank all the people who have already subscribed enough, but it's actually a pretty small fraction of you guys. To increase this fraction and boost my self-esteem, make sure you subscribe. Do that, and it'll help me out a ton with getting into contact with more people with items waiting to be showcased. Thanks again, and on to our next item. There's another strange Midas Staff, owned by none other than another one of the biggest glitched item collecting groups, Timedeo's group. This Midas Staff seems as though he could have paid less than 100k for it. How's this possible if the starting bid's 100k? Well, this is a no coin Midas Staff. Wait, what? This might be hurting your brain right now, but it's okay. This Midas Staff was bought for a price, but the price no longer shows up. What you're seeing here isn't an amount that was paid for, but rather an amount that was erased from it. Speaking of erase, this is where Personal Deleter comes into play. When the Personal Deleter was introduced into the game, it had its fair share of bugs. Ironically, with its name, it started accidentally deleting NBT tags, causing the item to lose important data. And one of those NBT tags is the price you paid for the staff. So if you put in a Midas Staff, this is the result. It got quickly patched, and Timedeo's group are the only ones to own one. But we're not done with the Personal Deleter yet. Any special item put in seemed to remove at least some kind of important information from the item. Putting Spooky Pies in erased player data. With New Year cakes, the year it was from would be erased, making the year 0, which is clearly not possible. Timedeo took this opportunity to take one of his already rare items and make it even more rare. He was bold enough to throw his only Clune boat in the deleter. There are already so few Clune boats costing a ridiculous amount of coins, so it's no surprise that he was the only one to do this. The result is hilarious. What he uncovered is what appears to be an inside joke from the admins. It reads dollar store, as if it's some cheap off-brand item from a dollar store with no identification on it. There's rumors that Miniclune was the one to do this, giving all items like this a default state of dollar store. We have one more item coming from Timedeo, but unlike the rest of them on this list, this one isn't glitched. The admins actually awarded Timedeo's group their own custom item named the Game Annihilator, which was given for reporting a large number of bugs. He reported 20 bugs relating to all kinds of things such as dupes, mega profiles, and Iron Man item transfer methods that he found with his group John Wick, Inhumanly, Simple Origin, and Pigacle. Not only that, but all of this was accomplished in the span of about 5 days, which is quite an achievement. But today, we'll be joining Timedeo, who will tell you a little bit about his new achievement. So Dio, how did you start with you and your group finding all of these bugs?
So basically it started out, me and my group were glitch hunters, and basically we would just go for glitched items. But one of our group members, John Wick, who used to be a malicious duper in the past, he got wiped and then he's reformed now, he's unwiped. He's one of the good guys now. He's got the knowledge to find a bunch of dupes. He knows the ins and outs of everything. We started learning off John Wick, basically how dupes work, the ins and outs of everything. It got to the point to where we would see how many dupes we could find in a week, and that's when stuff really started to unravel.
So you got this item for reporting a lot of different glitches, bugs, and exploits. What were some of the crazier things you and your group discovered?
Well, I can't go into too much detail of all the dupes and crashes we found. There's one that I think is pretty hilarious, and I know it's hard patched, so I feel comfortable saying it. But basically, we found a dupe with a single blade of grass. Yes, that for some reason was a dupe. The way this dupe worked is he would try to bone meal a blade of grass at Y255, which is the height limit, so it can't grow any further. But SkyBlock has this weird thing where it would wrap around the map and grow at Y0. And it would also just happen to break blocks that were in its way, which resulted in a collection dupe. But yeah, it's pretty funny that a single blade of grass, something that's really harmless and no one would ever think bad about it, actually ended up being a dupe. Like,
yeah, so it seems like it's just such a random block to just be like, oh yes, I'm going to dupe with this. So how did you come up stumbling across, you know, that there's actually a weaponized, harmful side to this innocent blade of grass?
well, I'm not going to take all the credit because I'm not the one that found the original method. Basically, around a year ago, Haskell showed me a patch dupe that basically worked because of a tree that would grow at Y255. It'd go around and break stuff. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this could probably work with other blocks, like flowers and grass and a few other things, and grass just ended up working.
So you find one thing, and then that thing leads into another thing, and then that idea spawns another idea. So that's kind of how you found it. You know, you started with the tree, and then you're like, oh, okay, this blade of grass can also do something similar. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, it's basically just it's a small workaround. Granted, that dupe was patched for like over a year probably, but yeah, it's just finding workarounds and other stuff that would work with the same idea.
So you found all of these different dupes and server crashes, and if you look at the description of the Game Annihilator, it even said that you kind of made the game devs cry. Do you have any stories about like how they responded to all of your reports, or like, did they actually cry, is what I'm kind of curious about.
I think Minnie almost cried. Basically, whenever he was trying to fix the candle dupe, there was like 2 separate occasions where we tried fixing it, and it was a multiple hour, like 2 or 3 hours, where he would try to fix it. We would have no luck. He was getting visibly frustrated. His mental state was just deteriorating. He just didn't want to do candle anymore. And I think that's really where the description of the item came from.
Yeah, that's great. I love ruining people's days. So what's next for you and your team? Are you going to continue looking for bugs?
Yeah, basically we're going to continue fighting dupes and server crashes. There's no real point in collecting anymore. That community is kind of ruined, so it's just kind of more fun to find stuff and test your brain.
But anyways, that's enough about Timedeo for now. For a change, we have an item coming from a player by the name of Joey Zucchini, who is able to get a level 0 horse. For those of you who don't know, pets are supposed to start at level 1. The way he got it to 0 is kind of complex, so bear with me. On June 7th of 2020, a quality of life update made it so you could shift-click items into anvils to save that extra second of time. By combining items, the item gets an extra anvil use, but you could actually also shift-click them out, which would trick the game into giving it an anvil use even though nothing was combined. The more anvil uses an item has, the more XP it takes to combine something with it. At about 20 anvil uses, the XP required to combine gets to the integer limit, which means if we just put one more anvil use on it, the XP required to combine will start going into negative XP due to the integer overflow. But who would do such a ridiculous thing? As it turns out, Joey Zucchini did. When Joey combined items with negative 2 billion levels, it wasn't a surprise when weird stuff started happening. He got negative skill experience. According to the enchanting skill XP equation, putting negative 2 billion levels gives you a complex number which programs can't read, so it's just not applicable. Pets get a part of your skill XP gained as pet XP, so when you gain not applicable skill XP with your pet equipped, your pet gains not applicable pet XP. This causes everything to break down and make your pet level 0. So through this whole complex thing, Joey now has the slowest and dumbest horse on SkyBlock. To end this video, we have an item that's short and sweet. Sweet if you think mushrooms are sweet. It's an enchanted mushroom soup. At first glance, this item doesn't look that special, but it actually hasn't been possible to make for a long time now. It's an item that went almost completely unnoticed and used to have a crafting recipe in the game's early days. For whatever design reason, the recipe was removed and they pretty much vanished immediately because people weren't making many of them to begin with. They may have almost vanished, but thankfully I was able to find and buy one and keep them alive in my museum. You could check out the profile with these people on it and go to the teleport pad labeled museum if you want to look at it yourself. That's all the items I got for you guys this time. If you liked the video, please consider leaving it a like. This video is already long enough, so I'm just gonna say take care you guys, and I hope to see you all again soon.